Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So this weekend was the big tournament for the English Digimon release, and wow, what a turnout. The tournament was so massive that they had to split it into several different tournaments, so we got a nice, broad range of what the meta is now. So it's great that we got some info that we can finally go off of and really get the 1.0 meta established. Let's get into this. So I just want to thank Bandai for putting this event on in the first place, because putting on a tournament before your product officially even launches is a pretty bold move, but they did it anyways, and wow, the response was unreal. So we had 3 different tournaments go on this weekend in the North America region. Unfortunately, the Latin America got postponed. Apparently they didn't get a lot of their product in on time, so they're giving a little bit more time. So we don't have their results yet, but we still got Core TCG and Top Cut, as well as I managed to get a little bit of info in from Canada as well from a couple players. So that's pretty awesome. So yeah, what topped, right? So shout out to Super Playas, because they actually streamed the whole event for 2 days for Core TCG. So got some good info from those. Got to actually see some of the live matches, right? But when they recorded that, they also revealed, who won, right there as it happened. So for the Sunday event, right, which is technically today, because I could not wait to do this video, right? I had to jump on this. Sunday for Core, it actually ended in a tie, with sort of a tie. They actually drew the last match. I think Green might have technically came out ahead. I'm not really sure in the points, but in the last match they ended up tying, and it was Purple Piedmon deck, which was highly represented all weekend. I think Purple was the most represented of the entire tournament, at least for Core. I think as well as Top Cut, it was also the most represented. So yeah, Piedmon and Green, it was like a Green Rosemon Lilymon. It was pretty interesting. Taking Green, which doesn't have all of its good resources, right? I mean, we're not talking 1.5 Green here. We're talking about 1.0 Green here, struggling. And they took the event. I mean, that's pretty wild that they went as far as they did. But yeah, so it was all about just kind of resting your opponent's Digimon and slowly just working away and being very consistent about working through the security. I watched a couple of the matches there. I really saw it in action. It was pretty smooth how well it ran. He did get a little lucky on a couple hits. He got a really good time security flower cannon that saved him, I think, in a couple games. And then Puppetmon putting in some work. If it wasn't for Puppetmon, he wouldn't have had it, but that Puppetmon was great. Brilliant timing on the Puppetmons. I don't know how long he had them in his hand, but he played them at the most perfect times, so that was awesome. So yeah, Green took it for Core on Sunday. Saturday was a red Omnimon versus a blue Omnimon. I know people are tired of hearing about it, but it was the most out of the top 8 of most of the events. Blue Omnimon was taking it away. I think it took 5 of the 8 slots in one of them, and and so of course it took first as well. So Blue Omnimon seems to have been the one that, while not necessarily represented more than the others, probably because it's more expensive than all the others and a lot harder to acquire the deck, but clearly was dominating in those top 8s. I think it had the most representation in the top 8 out of all the tournaments. So while it didn't necessarily win them all, it did score incredibly consistently in getting into the top numerous times. The red Omnimon, I think its problem was that it couldn't really draw into that match, by the way, with the red Omnimon versus the blue Omnimon, was just, oh, that was so bad. They both bricked so hard. Neither of them could draw into anything. I think that's probably why blue ended up taking it, though, was because of the fact that they could just draw better, and I think that's what makes blue Omnimon better, personally. I covered it, I called it at the beginning I called it weeks ago, in fact, that, Blue Omnimon was going to take the meta. I mean, it was pretty much a given. I mean, we all kind of knew, it was the best deck and all, but, I mean, this put it into practice, right? I mean, our starting point is different from Japan's starting point, because they started with, that original first set, whereas we got stuff from 3 different sets. So our meta is still, at the current state, drastically different from theirs. We'll eventually even out, but for now, we're quite different, and so we still managed to take that initial push, and take all the games there. So I just think proven that Blue is probably the best. I think they just got the best draw power. I mean, you got the Gabumon for one, that you Digivolve it or drop it. Either way, you get that plus. They got the Zudomon that gives them the draw. I just think they've got, and then not only that, but in a mirror match with particularly with Red, right? When they drop their Omnimon, there's a good chance that with the blue field, you're going to go a lot wider. So even if they drop their Omnimon and take out your Omnimon, you still have plenty of other things you can play in a nice, solid field. But in reverse, if blue drops it on red, red doesn't really usually have a whole lot left on their field to work with. All right, and then Top Cut on Saturday. So yeah, again, the blue Omnimon took that one as well. Super interesting. Top Cut on Sunday was Gallantmon and Red Tyrannomon in the finals. Red Tyrannomon as a deck. That's wild. The deck list is out there, so there's the pilot actually has a YouTube channel. You can go check him out and actually watch his whole rundown of the deck. Pretty interesting. I mean, how do you get that? How do you get that far with a Red Tyrannomon? I mean, just mind-boggling. I mean, I guess you don't have to. Your opponent's probably so afraid that you're going to go into something big, huge, that they're waiting, and then it never comes, and they're just running you over. So, pretty interesting. Gallantmon, we've seen it before. True Champion Steven, he's put out his profiles before on Gallantmon. Super interesting. I think what makes it so nice is that you can control the field while just taking out security. That's so awesome with Gallantmon. So you don't even necessarily have to worry about attacking into the stack. You just destroy the stack while controlling their field and destroying all their Digimon. So Gallantmon, pretty awesome. Glad it did some work and got that in that final 2 there. Super awesome. Also, less kind of talked about Carta Magica in Canada. I don't know what is up with those guys, but no one wanted to brag. I mean, maybe that's just Canadians for you, but they weren't really overly bragging about all their tops and everything like that. Whereas a lot of the U.S. players, they were like, "Oh, I got top 16, and I got 15th place," and they were excited about that, which is cool. I mean, yeah, you beat out 250 players. I would brag about being in top 15 also, but the Canadian players didn't really do that as much. But Sunday, we'll start with Saturday first. It's pretty standard. Omnimon Blue took it, and then second place was another Omnimon Blue. So again, I think we beat it into the ground enough. Omnimon Blue, unfortunately, overall best deck of the format. I mean, I'm playing it on my channel as well, or at least building it on my budget deck, which is super difficult to do, mind you. But I think it is what it is, right? So we can move on from there. Sunday, though, second place, again, same player took second place with his Blue Omnimon that took it on Saturday with his Blue Omnimon, and but lost to a green aggro Rookie Rush. Yeah, so wild that I wouldn't even necessarily call it Rookie Rush. It has a nice, diverse green deck, but it's not necessarily it's not any one strategy, right? It's not the Rosemon strategy, the Lilymon strategy like we talked about a minute ago, where they're constantly resting. It was just play as fast as possible with all these super cheap evolution. I think that's probably what makes it a little bit better than standard Rookie Rush, because Rookie Rush, you don't really get that draw factor, right? So once you kind of burn through your resources in your hand without getting a whole lot of draw factor in return, you're just kind of dead in the water. So you got to win fast with Rookie Rush. But with this green aggro deck, since they evolve for so cheap, you got to keep drawing those resources and drawing those resources. So even though you can kind of burn down your field and sacrifice them, you still get to evolve back up really rapidly. I think he said he played 20 rookies in his green aggro deck. Yeah, so technically not Rookie Rush, but very similar, just an all green kind of Rookie Rush strategy. So super cool. Congrats to him. He's actually the guy that gave me his gave me the info for it. So super appreciated. Jordan Beard, you're awesome. Thank you. So this hasn't been like officially published yet, but this is claimed to be one of the Omnimon decks that took first. This was their build here, and from what I was just kind of watching and seeing from a lot of other players that were posting their deck profiles, particularly for the blue Omnimon, I know a lot of you guys don't care. It's not exactly exciting. It's pretty much the same stuff. Some stuff that I did notice that was a little bit different from what the standard super simple thing was. It seems like a lot more players are cutting down the Garurumon to 3. I mean, pretty broad across the board. Omnimon getting cut, or Garurumon getting cut to 3. I'm guessing just because you're not really relying on the Metal Garurumon strategy that it works so well with, right? And you're not going to just hard play it. It's a 6 cost. It's very, very unlikely, right? So you're only going to want to work it in that one particular strategy. And if you know you're not going to go into that strategy, then there's no real point in worrying about it. You're definitely better off going into the Gorillamon for the 1 if you have the choice. Monzemon at 4, pretty normal there. And the Were-Garurumon kind of surprised me. Very, very prominent. I mean, at a 3 of or a 2 of, I expected a lot more Zudomons. You can see in this one, they only played the 1 Zudomon, which I think is probably correct, because that's something that as soon as you get it, you're not going to want to play it immediately. That's a very much a got to wait for that right moment, time it out kind of card, when to properly play it. It is a 7 cost drop, so you got to really kind of think about what you're doing there. And so you're not going to necessarily play it if you have a better option, right? That's very much a play it at, a last resort kind of card. And I think at a 1 of is pretty solid, because you're just going to sit on it in your hand for, no telling how many rounds. So I think that was definitely the smarter way to go. And instead of the other Zudomon that trashes Digivolution sources, which is pretty irrelevant in this game right now, I think the Were-Garurumon is definitely the better option. Just getting that bonus security attack, I mean, you're going to be triggering it pretty often, especially if they're running blockers, because so many people just hard play those blockers. So you're going to get a lot of value out of Were-Garurumon, I think. This build only had the 2 Metal Garurumons, which was a bit of a surprise. Most of them I was seeing, they're all running the 4 Plesiumons and then 3 Metal Garurumons, and that feels pretty right, especially when you got to run those Volcanic Dramon. Everyone this weekend was running Volcanic Dramon. I think everyone was expecting that Rookie Rush was going to be super prominent because no one could get their hands on all the cards. True Champion Steven even put out in an interview that he couldn't play the deck that he thought would win and had to play yellow instead because he couldn't get all the cards in time out of all the boxes that he opened. Couldn't get a playset of Omnimon to play the Omnimon deck. So that should pretty much tell you what people were thinking going into this, that Rookie Rush was going to be super prominent. Rookie Rush or the purple, Rookie Rush kind of strategy there. So Volcanic Dramon just dominating. Probably the most played card in every deck across the field. I mean, more than Puppetmon. Puppetmon's huge right now, but I think Volcanic Dramon just beats it out a little bit. This one, they put in the Metal Seedramon. I think they even said at one point that they wish they hadn't put in it. I could be mistaking it for another interview I saw. But they were just kind of thinking that, the Rookie Rush strategy might be a little too much. And they said that they almost never played it. I think they said they played it once all weekend. Again, I could be mistaking it for another interview, though. I'm not 100% on that one. It seemed like a lot of the decks I was seeing, they were all kind of playing this 3 Garurumon, the 3 Were-Garurumon, or 2 Were-Garurumon, and the Volcanic Dramons for sure everywhere. So overall, congrats to everyone that topped. Super awesome. super jealous I didn't make it in and I couldn't participate. Hoping that in the future I can definitely get in there. Unfortunately, I had put in my 2 weeks at my job, and I couldn't bail on them on my second to last week and take off. So super bummed about that, but hopefully in the future I'll definitely be trying to get into any of these tournaments everywhere I can, for sure. Hard to run a YouTube channel when you don't actually get to participate in the tournaments, right? But yeah, so at the end of the day, I think what our takeaway is Blue Omnimon is a huge threat. However, 1.5 is right around the corner, which is going to drastically change the whole landscape of this game. What's meta now, I mean, even across the board, all these decks that are like meta are not going to be even on the board anymore. Blue Omnimon is not really a thing anymore. Blue switches to Imperial Dramon, like the jamming Imperial Dramon deck. Red switches from just a pure red Omnimon to this kind of an Alter S Omnimon kind of duo, and it's less about the War Greymons and everything like that. It's very turbo, get to the highest as fast as possible. It's probably the most likely to stay kind of the same. Poor Yellow, True Champion did a great job with his yellow deck both days. Slash Angemon putting in some work, but once 1.5 gets here, I think Shine Greymon is just going to dominate the whole yellow scene. If you're going to play yellow, you're probably going to be playing Shine Greymon. Green will just be terrifying. With Karasmon, it's just going to be truly nasty and probably the best deck of the format. Just because if you've seen the videos out there of what it can do, it can just push so many Digimon out in one turn with no memory. It's absurd because they just get to play all these cards for free. It's brutal. If you haven't seen any of the videos, go look up Karasmon videos and watch it in action because it's truly terrifying. Purple actually probably won't change. Now that I think about it, they're going to stay with that Piedmon theme, and they're just going to ride it out. It's already super good and super consistent, so we'll just have to see how it works when it releases in the 1.5. I don't think there's any crazy cards that are going to change it too drastically much. Black will probably take on a whole new form. It's actually surprisingly doing decent right now. It was a lot of just kind of build up these big old walls, and then to get into your big old kind of stomp factor. I think that when 1.5 comes out, it'll get way better. Of course it will, but they're just going to have a whole lot more crazy cards at that point. That sure they're going to keep their whole walling up strategy, but at the same time, they're going to have all these new bigger bosses that they can just push for games super fast with once they're done walling up. But that's for the future. 1.0 is now. We've seen what's dominating, so we got to try to work around it. Blue Omnimon is a threat, so when you're going to these events, be prepared that that's going to be your biggest threat. Your most matches will probably be against purple, so you got to also kind of think about how to play around purple, those trump swords, but also dealing with blue Omnimon, okay? So you got to worry about those big fields and the big boss that's going to nuke whatever you have, okay? So just be prepared for that. Don't let them get going. If you can push fast enough and don't let them build up, that's probably your best bet. But you can't play a slow deck to do that, so just keep that in mind. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please support the channel in any way you can. Just liking the video or subscribing is a huge help. And if you really want to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon. There's a link in the description below for it. You can get access to my Discord server as well as some other cool incentives. Also, check out my official merch store. There's a link in the description below for my Teespring account. You get access to all my cool merch that I've got on there, as well as some other cool stuff, cool phone cases, that sort of thing. But like I said, any kind of support is always appreciated. Just simply liking the video can go a very long way for me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.